All right, my friends, welcome to episode 298 of Prof and Dev Play Games. My name is Larry, the professor at Prof Plays Games on Twitter. Over there is Anthony, the dev, at Summer Speak on Twitter, and we are very close to episode 300, and I can't believe it. 300.
It's ridiculous.
That's crazy. We've been doing this since 2015. This is great. How you been?
300
How
weeks.
are things?
Roughly.
Yeah. Crazy.
I'm doing okay. Right now, I'm watching one of our new cats stalking something.
New cat?
Yeah, we got 2 new cats about a
Nice.
week and a half ago, after we came back from vacation. We were going to we wanted to get cats again, and we were like, oh, we'll start looking, and then we went and visited a pair of almost 2-year-old cats, brother and sister, and we're like, yep, we're keeping those. They're ours. And so we have been reintroduced to young cat energy in the house.
Yeah, I bet.
They're not kittens. I mean, they're 2, but they're still young cats. And oh my God, do they play. And
They're
it's
just
kind of hilarious.
everywhere.
Yeah, they're everywhere. Running around, just randomly just bolting through the house at full speed. Being weirdos, it's great. I missed cats.
That's really cool. Your kids are enjoying that as well, I should
They
assume.
love it. They absolutely love it.
That's cool.
So,
my daughter was talking today about wanting a cat, which we mentioned a dog. She's like, no, I want a cat. Like, yes, you do.
Dogs are so much more work.
Yeah, I just like cats. But my wife's allergic, so probably not going to happen. Much to her sadness. So this week we have actually quite a few things to talk about. Summer Games Done Quick just came to a close, raising I think 2.8 million for Doctors Without Borders, and there's a couple cool speed runs. We've got WitcherCon, which happened on the 9th, I think a couple days ago. Netflix and CD Projekt Red came together to host this one-day event. And then we've got the Nintendoist of Nintendo updates to their Switch to talk about, and then Sony had a state of play. So that's 4 things. Where do you want to start?
Let's start with the 2 kind of meh things. Let's start with state of play.
Okay.
Mostly my thing on state of play is Sony didn't do anything at E3, around E3, directly. They don't have a lot to say at E3 around it, or anything right now, is my thought.
Apparently, huh?
Apparently.
Based on what they showed?
What they showed, I mean, I don't want to downplay the things that they showed. They're fine games. Moss Book 2 looked great, which may show intention of course, bringing the PSVR into PS5 era and the whole thing, and just continuing that. They're showing PSVR games still, and it looks cute. That mouse is awesome. I've never played them, but I've heard many good things.
It's kind of what I wanted from VR, which is I don't really need a first-person experience because that kind of makes me a little nauseous. Give me a diorama where I can play, and that's what it was, just a series of dioramas, and it was really great. Adventure mouse.
Yeah, basically. I mean, they showed that, a number of other indies I haven't heard about. Super Brothers' next game, Jet the Far Shore, which looks super chill, and I will totally play it when it's time. And it kind of crosses over in a weird way with an Astroneer kind of vibe of its space exploration, chill space exploration. There's no combat in it whatsoever.
Hey, that sounds awesome for my daughter.
0 combat. It's just really flying your jet around, is examining things and learning about the place that the world and the worlds you're visiting.
Dang.
And it has some story going on. I mean, the Super Brothers stuff, like Sword and Sorcery, had a pretty intense story to it as well. It wasn't just kind of, just sit back and live in the atmosphere. It wanted to say stuff too. So
right.
I assume this has kind of what they showed in the trailer.
Have they had a game since Sword and Sorcery, or is this their first one since then?
I think this is the first one. I haven't heard of them doing another one. Let me do a quick check just in case. Video games? What have you done? You're doing Jet now, and yep, Super Brothers was the first one. Oh, I guess they did. They did, yeah, Sword and Sorcery, Super Brothers Sword and Sorcery, and they did this game called Sound. Contributed on Sound Shapes.
Oh, really? Oh, that's
yeah,
cool.
They did some stuff in there for it, but at least they say they did. But
I believe them.
Yeah, their Sword and Sorcery EP was 2011, so it's been 10 years since they put out a game.
Wow, that's crazy. Well, that one sold a bunch for them, so I'm sure.
They've written that one for a while, and it's worth it. It's really cool.
Well, I picked it up like a year ago for the first time and started playing. I was like, "Well, this is really cool."
I played it back in 2011 on the phone.
Wow, yeah.
And had some, because I mean that was the time whenever PopCap was focusing on the phones and getting the phone stuff more, and it wasn't specifically free to play on the phone. We could just make games for phones,
right?
And we were looking at all this stuff, and Sword and Sorcery stood out. Like, it was a good game. In the way that it did a bunch of just cool stuff with touch and time, whole thing. So yeah, that was a cool to see more of that, and I think it's out. It says it's going to be launching this year on PS4 and PS5. So soon-ish, next 6 months. Yeah, sometime in the next 6 months.
I guess.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going on to the next thing, but if you have something
I was going to say, for the state of play, for me, it's not that, like, I think the things that were shown, I didn't actually watch the state of play, just seeing some of the things that were shown and talking to you. Like, they all seem like solid games. I'm not sure if any of them are first party. Like, are any of them Sony? These are all third party games.
All third party.
Yeah, okay.
This is no
Sony not having much to talk about for themselves, you know?
Yeah. They don't. I mean, they're not showing God of War right now. I guess they already showed some Horizon Forbidden West stuff. They're not showing it again right now. They'll wait. Because we didn't get a date on that. Clearly, God of War is not this year.
No
matter how much they want it to be. They originally wanted it to be.
Delayed it. Yeah. But I don't think Horizon's going to be this year.
I know that
they gave themselves an out saying, like, we're targeting holiday, you know?
Yeah. There's a good chance it's not. I mean, again, we've said it in the past number of episodes, like, we are truly seeing the effects of COVID now, especially on these huge teams.
Yep.
Like, I think small teams, like System Error working there and stuff, we have a much easier time managing the, like, shift to working from home. But I can't imagine how hard it is to shift, like, a 400-person team working on a game to working from home and keep the same pace. Like, the logistics of it cause hell. It's not like it's easy to just, like, troubleshoot someone's computer, like an artist that has schedules they're trying to get done. Their computer just stops working, or their Photoshop stops working, or modeling program, Maya, whatever. Yeah, and it's like, you can't just have help desk come and fix that.
Right.
Like,
you got to do it yourself or it doesn't get done.
Yeah, do it yourself, or you do have to figure out how it's going to happen. And it probably takes 3 or 4 times the amount of time to actually get you back up and running. Right. So there's just logistical issues that I think a lot of these AAA and bigger teams are hitting at this point. I will say, from the whole thing, and the Deathloop does look pretty cool. I'll give it that.
Yeah, it does for sure.
Very Dishonored. Like, let's just say Arcane makes games like Dishonored. Like,
yeah, this one feels like, I don't know if this is the right term for it, but like, it feels like a more commercial version of Dishonored. Like, it feels like they've taken that concept into something that could be not just critically successful.
True.
Which I feel like is what Dishonored is.
Yeah, and I feel like with Sony they push this a little bit now. I think they're really putting it up there as, like, a major thing for their platform. And it is a PS5 exclusive from an Xbox studio now. Which is hilarious. But it's true, and that's what we get. And I'm like, please let it have a big Xbox logo in the front of it when it loads.
God, it must
Xbox Game Studios.
Well, I mean, it surely must, because the show on Xbox, which is the only place I played the show 21, has Sony Studios on it.
Yeah.
So you get that big old splash screen before you go on the Xbox stuff.
That'd be hilarious. And it is the next, like, I would say, biggest PS5 exclusive.
When's it come out? I forget.
September 14th.
Yeah, because there's no. I mean, that speaks to Horizon being nowhere near that.
Yeah. And it's 12 days before Diablo 2 remastered, so resurrected.
God.
So
I just got mildly aroused when you said that.
I know. we're not an insane number of weeks away.
I better beat Mass Effect 1 before that.
You should. Maybe I should finish Mass Effect 3.
Yeah,
again,
maybe you should.
God. But yeah, it wasn't huge. It was a shorter. I think it was probably like a half an hour tops for the state of play. They just don't have a lot to say right now, so I think it'll be quiet out of Sony for a bit.
Yeah,
but and then we had the other thing, which was Nintendo was like, here is the new Switch OLED, which is a Switch with an OLED. And a few minor changes to like nothing I would consider mind-blowing changes. Better screen, slightly bigger, smaller bezels, better kickstand in the back, more internal storage.
Yeah, and more is like from 32
to 64.
gigs to 64.
Yep.
Just so tiny compared to other consoles,
Yeah. But you do notice that the games are not that big on Switch.
They're not. No, and Nintendo
not
compression technology has been,
it's not even compression.
Class,
it's just there's no reason to ship 4K textures to Switch.
Well, that's true too.
Like
I'm thinking of like The Witcher.
Yeah.
They put everything onto one. They got the biggest cart and they put it on the biggest cart and they're like, we're good.
Yeah. And how big is it if you just downloaded it?
The Witcher?
Yeah, on Switch.
32 gigs or less, because that's how big their biggest card is, I think. So.
Yeah.
Which is impressive, mighty impressive.
I'm trying to see if it says it on the game file size for downloading from digital is 14.5 gigabytes.
Dang, that's it? That's even less than I thought.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I mean, that's the thing. They just don't have high-res textures.
Yeah.
Like, that reduces file size by so much.
Right. Yeah, they don't need it, man.
So, I mean, that's why I'm like, I download... just, there's certain games I've downloaded on there. I'm like, wow, this is only a couple gigs. Cool. Next.
Right.
So, 64, I'm like, that's plenty of games.
Well,
at Switch size.
Yeah, and I don't even notice. I have like a 256 mini micro SD, so it's like whatever.
I have a 128, and I haven't even come close to filling the thing. So,
oh, okay.
It's been more than enough. I do like the fact that it's as simple as swapping out an SD card, micro SD card, though. I've always appreciated that.
Well, it's nice that you can swap multiples out. Like you can have two, right? And with different games on them or shit. So
yeah, like I'm like, if this 128 ever fills up, I just get another one. It's not a big deal.
Yep. But it wasn't. This is not the Switch upgrade that we were expecting.
No.
Like the OLED news was like that. Then it's going to come with a faster CPU, more RAM, yada yada.
Nope.
Nah, none of that.
My big thought is it's just Nintendo looked at that, like they considered it, and with chip shortages and stuff, it's just not cheap enough for them, and it's just not worth it.
I was wondering about that, and I was going to ask you. Obviously there's a chip shortage everywhere, with from fucking dishwashers or fucking TVs to cars and whatever else. But I feel like the CPU that the Switch needs, is there a competition for that level of power?
I mean, it still has to go through the same manufacturers.
Oh, okay.
It still has to have space at, what is it, NVIDIA Tegra?
Mm-hmm.
It's like Tegra 2 or something, like a special one. I'm just trying to... Where does those get produced at? NVIDIA usually uses TSMC, which they've been maxed for the entirety of 2020. So, like, they're just competing with capacity to produce chips, basically.
Okay.
So,
I thought for some reason they were competing with people who wanted to buy the same kind of chip, which I didn't think was possible.
No, it's just totally just like, do we have capacity to manufacture these chips? How many could we manufacture a month? At what price? So there's probably just a thing there, because Nintendo likes to keep cost of the console down so they make money on selling the console. It just wasn't realistic to ship a new processor right now.
Right.
And split their production. Because clearly they're not stopping production of the non-OLED Switch right now. Didn't sound like
They didn't mention that, but it feels like the OLED Switch is eventually just going to be the replacement for the whatever Switch they have, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I was looking at it and thinking, okay, this is a Switch for people who don't have a Switch. And then my friend Brad was like, I'm going to pre-order this. And then a couple hours later, he's like, wait, I never take it out of my dock. What? I don't need this.
Yeah.
Like, yes. If you don't take it out of your dock, you definitely don't need this. Especially when you can buy a $5 Ethernet adapter for your USB.
Yeah.
And be good.
And that's true. The dock, though, works with the current Switches as well. They did say that.
Yeah.
So if you want the features,
too.
Yeah, if you want the features of the new dock, you can just buy the dock.
Right, exactly.
And it's quite a bit cheaper. I'll be honest. It's probably $80 to $100 tops.
Right, and if you're not someone who ever plays handheld,
yeah. I mean, I play handheld a lot, but I still don't. I'm not gonna go out and buy a new. This isn't a big enough draw to get me to drop another $350 on a Switch.
Yeah, it's another $50 higher than normally. So I guess we're seeing a Switch 2 when we get a Switch 2. Like a Switch Pro when we get a Switch 2.
Which is possible.
I mean, because we're 4 years out now, so I don't know. I don't see a Switch Pro in like the next year or two, because that seems to be when you're going to be moving toward the next Switch.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what Nintendo's cadence typically is.
Well, if their hardware sucks, it's much quicker than if it doesn't.
Yeah. Video game consoles. When did they launch this?
I feel like the Wii U was like 5 years, maybe.
GameCube. So Nintendo 64 to GameCube was 5 years. GameCube to Wii was 5 years. Wii to Wii U was 6 years. Wii U to Switch was 5 years.
Okay.
So every 5 years seems to be 5 to 6 years.
Well, next year is 5.
Looking at their handhelds, we went from Game Boy Advance to DS in 3 years. DS to 3DS was 7 years. That's a big.
Jesus.
DS was huge though. And there was multiple DSs during that time. 3DS to Switch was 6 years. Okay. So I think 5-6 years would be the bet. We're at 4 years on the Switch, you said, now?
Yep, 4 years in March of this year.
Yep. So I think they hold out. I don't think they do it in 20. I don't think they launch a new console next year. Probably the year after. So 2023 seems about right.
Yeah, I agree, which makes me think we're not doing a Switch Pro at all.
Probably not.
It's the next Switch.
Yep. That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. So yeah, when I woke up and I saw that announcement before y'all texted, and I was like, okay, this must not be what I think it is. Oh, yes, it is. All right, this is not worth texting anyone about.
No, not really. It's fine. It's for people who don't have a Switch.
Exactly. If you don't have a Switch, this is great. A little bit bigger screen, bigger stuff inside. Yeah, it's all good.
I mean, it's just like when they upgraded the battery. The previous one, they got a bigger battery. It's just like these incremental changes and improvements, but tends not to be a big enough jump where someone who owns a Switch already is going to jump out and buy a second Switch. Unless they were already wanting to get a second Switch.
Yeah, there was a personal reason why I upgraded that second one. I did buy the one with the bigger battery, but that's because I gave my Switch away to someone who needed it. So
exactly, you had a different reason.
I was like, oh, I can use this as a reason to get the one with the bigger battery, which is great because it really is significantly better. So
yeah,
back when I used to go out and about and play Switch.
Yeah. So those were kind of, I would think, the two kind of like, meh, okay, that's some news from the week, but don't think nearly as exciting as people were hoping. Although I think people are getting used to the fact that there's not a lot of exciting stuff happening right now in that front.
Nah, 2021, not so much.
Yeah. So where do you want to go? Do you want to go? Go ahead.
Before we move on to the next one, I am a little excited after watching like several hours of playthrough of Skyward Sword that Nintendo sent out a tweet today saying a lot of the hand-holdy talkie instructions have been shortened and streamlined, and
There's a
you
number.
can see side by sides. You're like, oh my god, they really have been.
Yeah, no, there's a lot. I've seen it now. I'm like, I'm not getting it now, but I will likely play it eventually or give it another go. This version, because they reduced a lot of the talkie stuff. The first time you encounter an item, it will be more verbose and show like the reward thing of you getting the item.
Right.
But after that fact, it doesn't do it anymore. Thank God. So you don't have to see that every single time.
You got a rupee.
Yeah,
you can use this to buy shit. Shut up. I know that.
Yeah.
Man, crazy. Yeah, so I'm excited about that. So that's definitely. I was probably going to purchase that anyways, but now I'm less reticent to.
I have the amiibo coming.
Oh, I could not. Man, that's awesome.
I have it. I don't have the game, but I have the amiibo because the amiibo is cool.
Yeah, I tried.
don't know.
No luck.
Wario 64 on Twitter at one point, and I'm like, bye. Came from Target.
Nice. Yeah, I've been trying to get that and the Zelda Joy-Con, both with no luck. So we'll see.
Yeah, the Zelda Joy-Con would be very hard, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I'm like, they're not cool enough for me to like buy it from a scalper, but if they were cool enough, I would. But they're not, so I'm good. So yeah, now we've got two. We got Summer Games Done Quick.
Yep.
If you want to talk about that, and WitcherCon. Where do you want to go next?
Let's go to WitcherCon.
Yeah,
WitcherCon. Which you can talk to me about because I didn't see much of it. I watched the trailer for Witcher Season 2. And then I saw a brief thing that there's an anime happening.
Yeah, there's an anime about Vesemir's life, like him as a kid, his youth. It will explore his youth and the history of Kaer Morhen, and it's going to be it sounds like it's a movie. So it comes out August 23rd. Yeah, August 23rd. And it's kind of like a preamble in some way to season 2, because when we go to Kaer Morhen in season 2, like people who haven't played the game or read the books, like don't know much about it, and the people who are there. So that's cool. And then season 2, they have there's a new Witcher that's like exclusive, I guess, to the Netflix show. What's his name? There's a name. Hemrick.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. But then there's Lambert, Eskel, Cohen. There's Vesemir, and just Kaer Morhen. You get to see the Witcher stronghold, which is super cool. So there's that. We got some dandelions singing in the trailer. There's going to be 8 episodes. I can't remember if the first season was 8 as well.
I think so.
That probably makes sense because it's probably parallel or symmetrical. But they've listed 7 of the 8 titles. They've withheld one for spoiler reasons, basically. Yeah. So there's A Grain of Truth, Kaer Morhen, What Is Lost, Redanian Intelligence, Turn Your Back, Dear Friend, Voleth Mir, which I don't know what that means, but I'll have to look it up. And then there's probably the 7th episode or 8th episode is something like the one where Yen dies or something.
Yeah.
And then there's CD Projekt Red said in a tweet, I don't think it came out during the time, that they're adding what I saw was Netflix Witcher inspired DLC for Witcher 3.
Oh, right. They're adding Henry Cavill to it.
They must be, because when I first saw it, I was like, I lost it. I was like, yes, like more story. Nope, wait. This is Horse Armor or something. Or Henry Cavill, yeah. Which must be cool for Henry Cavill, who fucking loves this game, to then be in the game.
Henry Cavill is such a fucking nerd. It's awesome.
Like, yeah, it's great, man.
I see stuff pop up every once in a while in different subreddits of like game I follow. So the crazy thing is he's a like Games Workshop Warhammer 40,000 Warhammer Fantasy fan. Like he paints fucking miniatures and like reads the goddamn books and like lore. Like so people have taken pictures, and it's like he has posted pictures on Instagram of him painting stuff, but then he's also posted pictures of like, it was recent, it was like within the last 2 weeks, of him like flying somewhere, and he's like keeping myself busy while on the flight, or like he was like reading a script, but on the table was like a recently released Warhammer 40,000 novel.
Oh,
like,
that's cool.
And you're just like, the fuck are you, dude? Like,
I know it's not like like pitched toward the paparazzi. Like this is just legit who he is.
yeah, and I'm just like, yeah, him showing pictures, and he's like, I'm building a computer. Like, I'm like, okay, you are just a giant British nerd. Okay.
Yeah, very cool. And plays a mean Geralt.
Yeah, and you get to be Geralt, so that's probably in some ways kind of a dream for you.
Well, and Geralt gets to be you if this is true. I didn't see it. Did you see that they said it was going to be skins?
I don't think it's. I'm assuming it. I don't know if it will make Geralt in the game look like Henry Cavill so much, but it definitely. When they're talking about like items and stuff, I feel like it's going to be stuff to make you look like the Witcher of the Netflix series, like the costumes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
How much it changes your face to look like Henry Cavill's face, who knows? But I don't think they're gonna like have Henry Cavill pay the money to have Henry Cavill like record dialogue and stuff, and so you could play it like that.
Oh no, I don't think so either.
But
no, Doug Cockle is the voice of Geralt. But
yes,
I think it's cool. I just thought it was gonna be more, and they haven't really said what it is, but I assume it's not. But it's supposed to be part of the PS5, the Xbox Series X, like the upgrade basically that comes out.
Maybe they can fix Cyberpunk and then get on with that.
Cyberpunk, I'm not familiar.
Yeah.
God, what if will they ever unbury themselves from that? Like, how much hype for Witcher 4 has been diminished by Cyberpunk?
Honestly, right now, a lot. Give it a couple of years, probably not much.
Yeah,
people will forget and not even think about it. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
They'll show they'll show a badass trailer for Witcher 4, and people will just lose their shit. And and just forget about how screwed up Cyberpunk was.
Yeah, man, I don't know if they'll be able to.
We have the minds of Goldfish.
Will they be able to recapture the magic?
That I don't know. I have no clue. Because clearly something needs to change internally to have that happen. They can't just be like the internal thing of like, well, we made Witcher 3 work out fine. We just could do that with every game. Clearly not. Like that's you can't approach making a game as in, well, we saved ourselves from one train wreck. Let's try another. Let's see if we can do that again.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I have a feeling that they're not going to talk about anything like that for another couple years, just to give some distance from Cyberpunk. And who knows, maybe there's still more for Cyberpunk to come to like improve it, figure things out. But
well, it's been put on the PSN, so that's one step for their milestones, I guess.
Yeah. They still technically have the PS5 upgrade for Cyberpunk to do. They haven't put that out yet.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I mean, there's the next gen upgrades have not come out for that. They haven't released all the promised DLC that would be coming, because they said it would have the equivalent support to like Witcher 3 and the amount of like small DLCs and free DLCs.
Oh, Jesus.
And so none of that's happened.
And expansions as well?
I assume that there would be expansions.
Oh, Jesus, man.
Yeah, who knows?
Wow, okay.
They have a lot to do to still right that ship.
Oh, yeah. Just give me Witcher 3 PS5 that works. That works,
yes.
Please.
But yeah, no, it all looks really cool. The trailer for Season 2 looked great. I'm ready to jump back in with these characters and the story, like you said, the Kaer Morhen, getting to see that, and to see it done in a way where I'm watching, I'm like, yes, it's going to be the TV show in its own thing, but still seeing hints of even like what it kind of looked like in the video games. Like
it looked familiar to me, for sure.
There's enough there to be familiar, but it's not going to be the exact same thing. And familiar enough in characters where I'm like, oh, that's Lambert. Cool. Like, just knew that was Lambert. Like, it looked right. I don't think we got a great look of Vesemir in it. Like, I think
It was all very quick.
it was quick, and I thought I saw there was like one part which was Vesemir, but it was kind of shot at a distance, so it was hard to get any kind of detail. And Geralt mentions Vesemir in the trailer, but they're clearly not showing that right now. Maybe they're holding it so that they can show it for the anime happening. And I'm sure this was technically only a teaser, so it's not out till December. So
much more to see.
August 23rd is the anime, so
that's right.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's a trailer in September, a full trailer.
Which I will be avoiding.
Yeah.
I don't need it. I watched like the teaser through like crisscrossed fingers.
Nice.
I just I don't need to see anything. I don't want to be spoiled. I'm very excited. I don't need to be sold.
Yeah.
Same thing with anime. Like I'm there. It's fine. And this is all. I mean, this is all made up. I assume because the novels really don't focus on Vesemir.
I assume they got to. I can never the author's name.
Sapkowski.
I'm sure they're working with Sapkowski on it. On like, his thoughts and notes on what Vesemir was like, and just running with that. Yeah,
and it's definitely a place where I keep thinking about Witcher 4. Like, do they go forward with Ciri? Do they go backwards? Do they, there's other Witchers, obviously. You do like Lambert, or do they go backwards to Vesemir? Or are they like, just kidding, Geralt's really here,
Yeah, or do they go to a different time when there's a lot more Witchers?
Yeah,
and they go to a thing of like, hey, you create your own Witcher. Like, do they want to try not telling Geralt's story, but telling more a story in more of the CRPG kind of way of you get to create your character. I get to create your own Witcher.
Sense. That'd make way more sense because of the source material, the lack of for other than Geralt.
Yeah, and just be like, you get to make whatever Witcher you want. But it's yours, and you get to. I don't know. Remember how many hundreds of years earlier it is where there's a bunch of Witcher, like a lot of Witchers.
420. It's in the second age of man. I'm just kidding. I don't know.
There you go. 420. Smoke them if you got them.
That is the first number that came to mind.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I don't know the lore. I don't know. It's been said in the games, and the role-playing book talks about it a little bit. But I could see them doing that with Witcher 4 and not trying to necessarily continue the story forward, because it does feel like it's closed on that. You could do Ciri if you want, but it's not necessary. Yeah,
I'd like that, but I'm open to whatever. I don't have many expectations.
Yeah, just better than Cyberpunk. Let's just put that down. Be better.
Yeah, let's get a real low bar.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that was all that was out of WitcherCon, so I remember.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's all that stood out to me at least.
So yeah,
sorry, choking on bourbon.
This past week was Summer Games Done Quick, which I watched some stuff. I didn't watch as much because I was in a bunch of meetings, and so I couldn't watch it during the day for the most part. But
sucks work. I saw a couple. Brad texted a few. One was a Three Houses run. It was like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
I think there was a Mass Effect run that was an hour and something. Two
Mass
that
Effect,
I actually
Mass Effect
that I watched.
2, I believe.
Mass Effect 2, okay.
And I didn't get to see it, unfortunately.
Yeah, me neither. I'd like to. What I saw was, I'd never heard of this before. Storks and Apes and Crocodiles. Have you heard of this?
No.
It's a ROM hack for Super Mario World. So it's like Super Mario World, think like Mario Maker, the hardest shit people can make.
Yeah.
So it's that basically.
It's one of those. One of those ROMs.
Fucking insane.
Okay.
He does it in 40 minutes. And it's just like, but at a certain point you just are jumping on fucking shells and then that's it. Just masterful. But the other one that I saw, two other ones I saw. One was Astro's Playroom Speedrun.
Oh wow!
Where I did the full game in 25 minutes, and it's just like the amount of level skipping, like not like glitching, but just like knowing where the jumps, and you can double jump and spin jump and whatever else. Just shaving 30 seconds at a time off the run is nuts. And then the other one that I have running right now, what's his name? Boobsia, who did something for Awesome Games Done Quick 6 months ago. He did a blindfolded run of Super Mario 64. This time he's blindfolded and getting all 70 coins.
I watched that one.
70
I
stars.
watched a good chunk of that one. I was going to say that was incredible.
It's unbelievable. Like just by like muscle memory, by sound, and then he like resets every once in a while to go back to the main castle to like orient himself. But like the shit he's doing, I cannot do with both my eyes.
Yeah, it was incredible watching him do some of that. I think I watched I didn't watch all of it. I watched from like stars 40 to like 60, 65-ish before I had to stop and do something else. Because it was in the middle of the day on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I did watch the Three Houses run. I had that running at night. And they're not doing like, as far as I saw, like glitches so much. They're just super efficient. And they kill most of their characters. Yet, so
what does that mean by being efficient?
They kill a bunch of their characters. One. So that they just have a minimum number of people. They have like 3 characters. And I can't remember, they were doing the Golden Deer, I think was the run. Like they had a bid war to see which house they were going to play. So there's different routes depending on which house you're going to play. Mm-hmm. They chose Golden Deer, and I believe they killed I can't remember the characters they left alive, because basically there's a couple things like whenever you're singing in the church, it picks 2 random characters to be with you to sing. If there's only 2 characters in your house other than Byleth, they're singing with you. So it's like all ways to min-max like loyalty and ranking up and experience for specific characters. Cheesing a lot of things, like finding really weird cheesy things that can just like one-shot things.
And they do all the battles with just 3?
Yeah. It's like super focused. They know exactly where to move, exactly what attacks to do. Use and like know exactly what like ideally what strength, speed they need to be at on what chapters. And what levels they need like their battalion gambit stuff to be at. Like the whole thing, like these 2 people who are racing just knew exactly what to do. Exactly the square to move to. How to manipulate the AI to do what they want it to do.
Dang.
It's impressive from a like just standpoint of like knowledge about the game. And knowing like exactly what to do whenever they have school time and not, and how to skip most of that stuff. Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, they did it in 1 hour and 13 minutes.
Yeah, I just pulled that up right now. That's fucking insane.
And yeah, they're talking through most of it as they're doing it, and like why they're doing certain things and how they're doing it and what they're doing, and where there is true RNG to the thing, and like going like, hey, if this bad result happens, we have to do this instead or that. But it was insane. It was really cool to see. What else did I wanted to watch the Super Metroid race, but I was busy dealing with life things that came up.
It always stands out as one of the best, that 4-player speedrun race setting.
Yep. It always does. I always really wanted to see that. Mass Effect 2 I didn't get to see because that was like right at dinner time. But I do want to see it. They beat it in 1 hour. New Game Plus with all DLC. They beat it in 1 hour and 1 hour and 18 minutes.
God damn it, dude. That's crazy.
Yeah.
There was a Mario 3. I guess it was a co-op run.
Yeah, 100% I believe it got upgraded to.
Oh, okay.
I think it got upgraded to 100. They hit the incentive
100%
to
co-op.
get to
You're right.
100%. I didn't get to watch that I didn't get to watch anything on the last night.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I saw a little bit of Kingdom Hearts 2, which I've seen that run. I've seen a similar run before a couple years ago. But again, Super Mario Bros. 3 was in the middle of kid bedtime stuff, so no seeing that. The Demon Souls remake 2020, 54-minute to beat it.
Wow.
Wanted to see that, but again, dinner time. It's out most of that Saturday. I'm trying to go back through all the stuff. My kids watched the Breath of the Wild All Dungeons. They said it was really cool.
That's cool. There's Horizon Zero Dawn in 157 hour.
I saw some of that. That was crazy. And yes, they were using some pretty interesting maneuvering to like skip huge parts of levels where they should have gone. Like they could do like weird wall jumps and stuff, and like
oh damn,
wouldn't even call it straight out of bounds, but they were like traversing maps in ways that it clearly was not intended. But they knew exactly what the AI would do. So they just would lob like grenade launch stuff, and you're like, there's no enemy. Nope, there's enemies just spawned in and they died. Okay. Like, again, speedrunners have knowledge of games that is insane.
Oh, absolutely. And just the way that they can just deploy that knowledge instantaneously.
Yeah, it's all just been trained in so hard to just be muscle memory.
Yeah, exactly.
As I'm just going back through,
I'm seeing one from 2 years ago I never saw before, though. It's Wind Waker speedrun.
Yeah, I watched the Wind Waker. That was really... there's some weird things you can do in Wind Waker to go fast.
I gotta show this to my daughter. Oh my gosh. We just restarted. We finished our fourth watch along of Wind Waker. And we just started another one. Problem with this, though, is I always read everything to her as we go. And this is clearly in Italian. So I'm not going to be able to read that.
Yeah. Because the language gets chosen because of what has the fewest word bubbles, fastest dialogue.
I always thought Japanese was chosen for that reason, not Italian.
I don't know why. I mean,
I'll have to listen
clearly someone chose Italian for a reason.
Yeah, definitely.
So who knows why? And the thing is, maybe it's just actual, because there's not spoken voice in Wind Waker. It's all dialogue bubbles still.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So it's just, for whatever reason, that has fewer dialogue bubbles.
I guess.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I was kind of just hit or miss on this GDQ of just like what I was seeing, because I didn't have the time to sit and focus. A lot of times, if I have a lot of like individual contributor work that I'm doing, of just like sitting down, focusing, just trying to like make program work or game work or make a feature and just do my own stuff, I'll have this stuff on the background and just be working. But when I'm in meetings, 50% of my day at minimum, I don't get to watch or listen to any of the stuff.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Which makes me sad, because there's a lot I wanted to see. But like I said, it's all available on VOD that I can watch. Because I wanted to see like the Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow run.
Oh yeah,
I love Dawn of Sorrow. God, that was a cool Castlevania.
Sounds like they're putting those back out on the Switch.
Yeah, which ones were on the
Korean rating for the DS Castlevanias? Oh no, not DS. No. Fucking GBA.
The GBA ones. Which, I mean, the Dawn of Sorrow was a continuation of those as well. So,
so it just makes me think that they're going to do them all eventually.
Hopefully.
Although DS
gets a little harder because of wanting that dual screen. Like, it did use that. I was trying to see if there was the new rumors on that, but I believe it was like Aria of Sorrow was the first one.
I don't know.
Yeah,
those names always confuse me.
Sorrow. Just remember there's a bunch of sorrow.
Yes, exactly. Sadness, sorrow, arias.
Arias, yes. So there was Circle of the Moon. Oh, wait, there they are. Circle of the Moon, Harmony of Dissonance, and Aria of Sorrow. And Lament. That was Lament of Innocence was PS2. So, yeah, it was like Circle of the Moon, Harmony of Dissonance, and Aria of Sorrow were the Game Boy Advance ones. And then Dawn of Sorrow, Portrait of Ruin were the DS ones.
Only 2.
I think. Is that
That's good. You get most of the ones that at least I know of.
Oh, Order of Ecclesia was the third one.
Oh, that's right.
Was the last one on DS, which I never played that one.
I think that's the only one that I have. For some reason, I picked it up on Wii U.
Okay.
Out of order. I don't know why. Might have been on sale. I don't know. The nice thing about the Wii U, and having that hooked up, is like the DS games.
Yeah.
So, because that, or not DS,
yeah,
GBA, excuse me.
GBA stuff.
But even no, they have DS stuff as well. I'm just thinking about the GBA.
Yeah, I mean, yes, the Wii U would totally work for DS games.
Yeah, it did. They set it up to do with DS games. And then,
yeah, the TV would have the top screen, and then the controller would have the bottom.
And I think there were also some where you turn the Wii U controller sideways, so you'd have both on your little thing in front of you.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it was always maddening that the GBA games were on the home console when they weren't on the DS, unless you were the ambassador at the very beginning of the whole cycle. So, anyway, what have you been playing this week?
So what have I been playing? Oh, right. I said, screw it. I got a super cheap 60-day game card to Final Fantasy XIV.
Oh, shit. All right.
And I'm back into that, and I finished the main story quest for the base game.
Okay.
And it was actually really good.
Yeah.
Like, it's a slow burn to get there, but I think this game more... Final Fantasy XIV, the base game is basically like the prologue and maybe chapter 1 of a very long novel.
Oh, shit.
And just even beating A Realm Reborn, which is the first part of it, you're like, oh, there's a lot bigger things happening here. And then you start the trek of doing 80 quests before you start the expansion. Heaven's Sword, the first expansion. So you're doing like all the updates to A Realm Reborn, the patches. But those stories are already far more interesting than the base, but they're building on the characters and what they set up in the base game. I'm like, okay, I get it. This is a story-driven game. This is a Final Fantasy game. It just happens to be an MMO. And I'm okay with that. And I'm having a good time. I did my first raids to finish it. Because you have to just raid to finish the main story. And I just public group picked it up and did it. It was great. I healed. It was fine.
Awesome. Yeah, so you're one of the hordes apparently who have pushed this game to its highest concurrence. There are
so many people playing now. Yeah, highest. I think it was this weekend was another highest peak concurrence again for it.
And there's not a new expansion in the last couple of weeks, has there been?
No, the next expansion is not until November, I believe.
I wonder what's up with this time period.
So as far as I can tell, I mean, it's been growing, over the past, like, you can look at its numbers for the past, 2 years, and it's just a consistently growing game. Like, people are just coming into it.
Yeah. Word of mouth in this game. Like,
it's huge.
So many places, not just gaming places, people have talked about the story to this game.
Yeah. And then, honestly, I think people are burning out of WoW. They want another MMO, and it's WoW's total numbers are way down. Like, WoW was for the past 5 years has year over year just been losing players.
Yeah, I guess that's true. If you're a WoW player who's just done with that content, and you keep hearing, well, here's a different one with great story, check it out. People are just moving to that, maybe.
Yeah, which has been happening. I think that's been there's been a slow trickle of that over the years. And then what's peaked it is I don't know who the streamer is. Asmongold picked it up a week and a half ago. Huge streamer, and like I'm on Twitch, and usually you don't see Final Fantasy 14 up in the like top 10 stream games. It's in the top 50, but it's not a game people tend to stream big numbers on Twitch. This streamer picked it up, and there was like 140,000 people watching Final Fantasy 14 on Twitch over the weekend.
Dang.
And
That's
over
good
the past
advertising.
week. Yeah, and he picked up, and was a big WoW player in Raider, and he still like talks about how much he enjoys WoW and what it is, but he's like, there are real problems with WoW at this point, and the content that's there, and what's been made, and the direction the game is going. And he's like, I want to try this other thing, and he's been enjoying it quite a bit, and he's like, it's very different than WoW. And it is. I mean, I'm playing it, and I'm just like, yeah, this is not. It's not this. It is an MMO, and it follows the same kind of action gameplay as an MMO: tab, targeting, use your actions. But to steal from a streamer person I watched who made a video comparing Final Fantasy 14 to WoW, Jesse Cox, who's been around for a long time, and he made this thing. He's like, this sounds dumb, but I would call Final Fantasy 14 not an MMORPG, but an RPG MMO, where the RPG and the story is very forefront. The MMO aspects are not the main focus. They're there, and you have to play with other players, but you're going through a story, and you get cutscenes, and it's pushed on you. Like, there is actual story going on where you are the warrior of light and things are happening around you and you're making things happen, which is completely different from WoW. WoW doesn't have the players really affecting like an overarching story. If you want the story of WoW, the actual story for like what's going on, you get it from cinematics and novels and stuff. Like you get lore in the game, you don't get story so much in WoW. Barring like little quest chains and stuff that give you small little stories going on, but it's not like this big, like, you are an important person in this world. Final Fantasy 14 makes you feel like a very important person. You are the warrior of light. And they don't talk about it as like there's lots of warriors of light. When you're playing the game, you're playing a single player game where you're being called the warrior of light. Right. Everyone is. So it's just a different focus. But the story is neat. I've heard that the first expansion is where it like just goes insane. Like they up the production values a ton. And that all the buildup that you've gotten over that first 50 levels just comes to a head, and they just start throwing twists at you, and the scale of the story starts to show.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Is that a game, do you think, that one could follow along by watching like just long plays? Because it's mainly of the story.
Probably. Because I bet someone could cut together a lot of the cutscenes and everything to do a good job of just telling the overall story.
I wonder if that exists. I'm sure it does.
I'm sure it does. There are some fun things that I've noticed. Sam Riegel voices one of the main characters.
Does he really?
Yep.
Dang, okay.
I was like, that's Sam Riegel's voice. That's awesome. And Taliesin Jaffe as well is a voice of another main character.
There's one here from 3 years ago that's a Realm Reborn 2.0 game movie, all cutscene story walkthrough.
Yeah,
8
I mean that's
hours.
That's the base game story.
Yeah.
So it's just an interesting thing. I've been enjoying it quite a bit and kind of pushing through and getting used to, I don't know, just playing solo, but then you have to group at times, but it's really easy to find groups. And I would say that the community in the game is way chiller than WoW's ever was. It's weird. Whenever the focus on this game isn't about getting the best, like DPS meters, topping that, or like raid times or anything like that. There's not a whole lot of competition for the stuff. So people are just much calmer when just like, hey, you're a new person. Let's tell you about this, like, this dungeon you're going into. Like,
yeah.
Because new players, until you've played like 156 hours and gotten past a certain quest point, you have a little like plant sprout next to your name.
Are you serious?
Yeah, they call them sprouts. You're a sprout. And it just makes it clear to people that like, hey, there's new players here.
Yeah.
They might need to have stuff explained to them.
That's kind of nice because it helps people, I don't know, chill around you.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of stuff focused on like, hey, don't be dickheads in this game.
Yeah.
Like, just let people enjoy the story and what's happening and like have a good time. Which I think is also drawing people in more to the game because there's not that toxicity that would push new players out. Like,
right, you kind of feel like you want to hang out there.
Yeah. So I've had a great time jumping back into that and just kind of pushing through and finally getting through the base game. I didn't have that much left. Where I had stopped before, I was right before having to do the raids.
Okay.
I just had to get up. I was like, okay, we're going to do this. And
okay, so you didn't jam through the whole story in the last week then?
No.
Okay, I was imagining you not sleeping and it's like, how the hell did he do this?
No, I did not. I don't even know what my played was, but I'm pretty sure it's like 40 or 50 hours total to get through that base game. It's supposedly the main story quest to get through the whole thing is about 200 hours, just over. And that's without the next expansion, Endwalker, which seems like it's going to be a culmination of the storyline that they've been telling for the past 10 years. So, which makes me wonder if they'll continue Final Fantasy 14 or if there'll be a new MMO at some point. I mean, they already did it once with 11. So
right. I it's picking up steam, man.
Yeah,
like,
maybe that changes.
growing.
Like, yeah, I don't know. But it's good though. I do recommend it to anybody who is looking for that MMO itch, who just wants to try something a little different that's not WoW. It's generally a good time. It has some really cool mechanics and jobs and classes gameplay wise. So
that differs from other Final Fantasies, you think? Or
yeah, it's pretty different from other Final Fantasies.
Cool.
The jobs are there. I mean, there's black mage and white mage. This red, like the red mage, blue mage, like your colored mages are all there. You have warriors and paladins, and they have all that stuff. But then they get into, I wouldn't say weirder stuff, but there's more out there classes as you get higher level. You can start going into different ones.
Is it out there like Gravedigger or out there like what do you mean?
What is the job? There's one that uses a bunch of cards, like all their abilities.
Playing cards?
It seems like it. Like there's like playing cards in the game. Yeah, like just what is that job? It's a healer class too, if I remember right.
Oh, that's cool.
So let's see. Gunbreaker is a fun one. They decided they're going to bring in Final Fantasy VIII gun blades.
That's
so
cool.
There's a whole class built around like gun blades. I think it's the Astrologian is the they use like they're a healer that uses this weird card dealing mechanic type thing. All their effects have like playing card kind of stuff going on. It's all the normal stuff really. Machinist is like a gun user. It's a fun one. They don't have an archer. Archer becomes bard, actually. So you're like using bows and stuff and singing to boost your party. It's a DPS. I don't know.
Are you shooting your party members?
I don't know. I don't think so. I haven't leveled up that job. So that's the other weird thing with the game that is different from, say, WoW. One character can be all these jobs. You just have to. You're not leveling the character. You're leveling your job,
Right.
and you can switch jobs. So theoretically, a player could be level 80 and have all their jobs at level 80 as well, like all level 80 jobs. So they could switch between whatever job they want to be.
Yeah, basically, replayability is not creating a new character, but
Nope.
raising up a new job.
Yeah, just continuing to play your current character.
Yeah.
You only need to create one character in Final Fantasy for the most part.
Yeah, that's cool.
So, yeah, I am happy to see that it's getting a lot of love now. Seems like it's been a long time coming, in a lot of ways.
I mean,
and the
the
music kicks ass. The music is so good.
That's awesome. Are there remixes of like previous?
Yes, all of that plus new stuff, and the new stuff is great. Yeah, you play it and you just realize that there's just like a lot of passion went into making this game and going like, we screwed up when we first released this. So that's why you start on version 2.0 of it. But weirdly, they work the lore in of the first game contextually into the story of like why things were rebooted. Like that's just part of the story. There's a reason why it's called A Realm Reborn.
That's cool.
And they talk about like the destruction of the old world, which was 1.0. So it's cute in that way. But clearly the team that has been working on this for the past decade has had just a huge passion to keep improving it and make it its own MMO that really stands apart from the other stuff on the market. And I think that's, for whatever reason now, honestly expected. WoW is going to lose players. That's probably the biggest thing. And people want another MMO to play, and there's this one here that is pretty much not doing anything that WoW is doing for the most part on like its big pillars of gameplay. So they're like, come here.
Yeah, I wonder if Blizzard's looking at that and saying, wow, shit, what can we learn from this game?
I mean, they have in the past. They've pulled Final Fantasy stuff over into WoW. Yeah. But I just think I don't know. I haven't had a desire to go back to WoW, but I definitely have heard people talk about like the last couple expansions being kind of meh. Like, yeah, they exist, and I would say became cookie cutter in how they come out. Like, yeah, there's new things to do, but you know that you're going to get to max level, and then you're just going to do these rep grinds. It's going to be the same thing that you do, just with a different coat of paint. Right. And so it has seemed like that only gets you so far. And then, yeah, I was trying to see. I mean, WoW still has the most total number of active players at just like over 3 million, which is so down from where it used to be. I mean, at its heyday, it was 11 million players.
Right.
And I think Final Fantasy 14 is now up to like 2.3 million. Within like 3 years ago, Final Fantasy 14 was like just under 1 million active players.
It's gotta be nice moving up instead of down.
Yeah. So I don't know. It has been it's been crazy to see. But it's also been a lot of fun for me to just jump back into and play some, and because it's just very active right now. So it's fun.
That's awesome. I want to explore the YouTube space on that and watch some videos and see that story. We'll never be able to commit to that kind of game.
Oh, I'm sure.
I know my limitations. This week for me, most of my free time has been spent. It's crazy. I spent time this week studying music theory and piano. I know far more chords on piano now than I know on guitar, and I've been playing guitar since I was 13. So I've gone from having to look every chord up to now knowing all the minors, all the majors, all the sevenths, and then feeling like that's probably enough, but I can keep going. But I did get a little bit of time this week to play a game that Bill got for me, actually. Bill was on the podcast for a couple of weeks and very kindly gifted me some games that we had been talking about during the podcast that we had, because he kept talking about all the games he'd been playing, and I kept adding them to my wish list because they sounded pretty cool. and then I put them in my cart during the sale, and then magically he had bought them for me. But one I played this week is called One Deck Dungeon, which he was talking about.
Yeah.
Have you played this game?
Not on PC.
Okay, where'd you? Oh, you played on the phone or mobile?
Tabletop. It's a physical game.
It's a fucking tabletop game.
Yeah, it's a physical game. You can go to a store and buy it.
Yep, he had mentioned that. Which kind of explains some of the way that it plays. Because you're exploring a dungeon, and you come up against creatures or against obstacles. And if it's an obstacle, you can try to go around it or try to defeat it. But then you have different kind of dice. And then, or different kind of dice, and then 3 different, like, attack. Maybe there's like 3 different colors: yellow, pink, and blue. And the yellow is attack, and then the pink one is some other, like maybe magic or something like that. And then I can't remember what the blue one is, but there's different dice. And then the creatures that are attacking you, the challenges you have to face, have different ways that they're attacking you that are represented by a number and a color. So you roll your dice, and if you have a high enough number for that color, you can basically mitigate or cancel out that attack or that effect, basically. So you use all your dice to kind of mix and match into the different squares that your opponent has to take them out or to mitigate the damage they're going to deal to you. Where at the end of the round, when everything resolves, you take some damage and then you defeat them and then loot and move on. And I thought it was pretty cool. Just that mechanic where it's basically dice is determining how you're defeating the enemy, and not only just like based on your roll, which I think would have been boring after a little bit, but based on the roll, then you have to strategically place them, and you can use skills to like re-roll some or turn a few like low rolls into a 6 or whatever. So there's a lot of little strategic like almost like gameplay beats along the way that just maintain my interest. And I thought it was really cool. It's a pretty simple, rudimentary design. And now that you remind me that it's based off a tabletop game, the design makes sense. It's like kind of mimicking that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean,
so I appreciate that game from Bill, and I had a lot of fun playing it.
I'm watching a video of it right now of the PC version of it. Yeah, this is just the tabletop game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not. Of course, they're displaying things a little differently on the PC than directly the cards, but it is the exact same game. This is nothing.
It seems like a way to represent this kind of dungeon crawling video game in a tabletop form, and then now it's translated back to video game.
I was looking on here because I was like, "Oh, can you play multiplayer?" And you cannot. Not over the network. You can do split screen co-op, but you can't do. You can do shared. Like you could play multiple people.
Yeah, there's like remote play together. You could do.
Yeah, you can do stuff like that, but you can't actually do the. I was like, "Oh, could I get this and like." Could we play a game together? Nope. That's too bad.
So you played the tabletop version of this quite a bit, or just
a long time ago. God, when did it come out? I don't remember. I just played it once at the game store with some friends. Trying to look at the date. 2016. So yeah, 5 years ago. So yeah, just was killing time at the local game store with a group of friends, and we pulled it out. And I probably played it like twice. Enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yeah,
it was a nice, quick, simple game.
I can see myself playing again.
Yeah,
relatively soon. It was quick, and it saved my progress. And then I don't know. I just really like the way that you assign the dice and like the thinking part of that, as opposed to just like automated. That was really cool. Cool twist. And that's other than playing with my daughter, more Paper Mario, Origami King, or you know what we've been playing a lot of actually. She calls it Exercise Girl, but it's Ring Fit Adventure.
Oh, nice.
So we played that 2 or 3 times this week. Man, that game kicks my fucking ass, which is good because I've gained some weight during this quarantine time, and I'd like to get some of that off. It's just super fun. This week, this is the first time where she wore the leg Joy-Con and held the ring and did all the exercise for a little bit, and then gave me stuff back when it was too hard.
Here you
go. But it was, it's a fucking long game, dude. We've played for 6 hours total so far since I got it last summer or last fall or something like that. And we still have like 4 or 5 more worlds to go. So it's probably like a 10-hour campaign for this fucking exercise game. And then like grinding involves you doing more exercise, which is great for you doing exercise, but sometimes it's like tiring.
I'm sure.
Which is the point. It's the various exercises. Like you're never doing the same thing more than a couple times in a row. And again, it's choosing the skills, like the ab skills, leg skills, arm skills, whatever, to defeat certain enemies. It's really fun. And then I haven't played it yet. My daughter was more interested in washing my the Mario Kart live cart than playing it this week. But they just did DLC. There's 3 new courses that I want to play. So hopefully I'll be able to do that by next time.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. I've considered Ring Fit Adventure. If I would do that more than the fact of going back to the gym. Because I need to do something. I need to do something.
If you can get your kids with you, like it's more motivating too, because she's constantly asking for it, so I'm constantly doing it. Otherwise, it would be me finding time to do it, and that's usually at night when people are sleeping and I can't really do exercise.
Yeah.
So my exercise is usually running around the neighborhood.
Yeah.
But I absolutely recommend it.
Because we've all become sloths.
Yeah, I mean, since I got it, then Travis got it, and then my friend Chris got it, and have really, I think, enjoyed it. I've played more than they have. It's more about how exercise goes. Like you buy the equipment and then you don't fucking do it.
How long is a typical session?
We usually play for an hour.
Okay. I didn't know if the game itself breaks it up into sessions a little bit.
It does. It breaks it up into levels.
Okay.
And then it does the typical Nintendo thing, like hydrate, make sure to drink, rest. You want to quit for today? You've played a lot.
Okay.
But like like the world we just beat probably had like 12 different levels, and some are like just quick mini games, and some are like full fucking like 10-minute levels with huge bosses and mini bosses and things like that. So the bullet sponge, right? These bosses sometimes are bullet sponging, and it's like, okay, I'm really fucking tired. But it is forcing you to exercise. It's gamified exercise in a way that's been quite fun for both of us. So
okay.
I wish they'd put more out for it. Actually, that seems like it was a successful thing.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it. No one could get it for however long.
Yeah, I'm sure. I wonder if you can get it now.
I think so. I've seen it at Target plenty of times that I've been there. Like you can just get it. Like sometimes it's available, sometimes it's not. But it's not like it's uncommon that if I wanted to buy it, I could have just gone and bought it.
Oh yeah, it's totally on there on Amazon right now. You can get it by Tuesday. So.
Yep.
Yeah, just think, can you fit exercise into your life? You should. For your
I definitely can. It's just a matter of, do I want to try doing this, or do I just want to go back to the gym, which was what I was doing for 3 days a week. So until the gym was like, no, you can't come here.
We're letting you come inside.
Or no one's coming in here. Yeah. But I just need to make that decision, make that call.
Yeah. Well, cool. This has been episode 298 of Prof and Dev Play Games. We're slowly getting towards 300. End of the month, man. That'd be cool. I know. We'll have some giveaways, some games to give away, of course. And if you like us, please rate us on your podcast service of choice. Tell some friends, and we will see you next week for some more. I don't know if EA Play is happening this next week or not, but
I don't know.
If it is, we'll talk about it. If it's not, we'll talk about something else.
Yeah.
All right, folks. See you later.
All right. Later, everyone.